Have you ever noticed how much time it takes you to achieve something? Sometimes you can be working on something the whole day and then it finally works out, or you're working on something the whole week and then it finally works out. So we have this long time of working on something, all this effort, but then the time and the moment of achieving it, the moment of celebration is so short. It's like, yeah, great, wow, it's gone. Now I'm on to the next thing. Hi, I'm Vivian Price, and this is Stratosphere Empowered Wellbeing. And here we're kind of looking at how can we ride the high vibe. And of course, naturally, we go up and down in our life. This is the natural flow. But what we're trying to do is avoid going below a certain amount of frequency where dipping down so low that anything else that happens, or we're working on something trying to achieve that goal and it dips us further, then we're immediately out of a neutral zone vibe. We're already in a low vibe, right? And what are the keys to sustaining that? First of all, the best idea is to be traveling in this middle to high vibe, because then your whole perspective on your day and what you're doing and anything that happens to you, it's like when you're in love, right? They'll be like, oh, and there was a traffic jam and we couldn't get there, and you're like, oh, all the better, more time to just sit and think about him, right? Thank goodness I don't have to arrive, because juicy moments, I just want to be in my head and my brain to absorb something. Versus if you were not in that vibe, you'd be like, when is this going to get over? You know, like, my patience has a limit. People are waiting for me. Should I get out? Should I walk? What should I do? Totally different brain mindset, right? So a few things that can be done to hold the high vibe. Number one is the most obvious one, of course. It's just recognize that now you're entering a high vibe moment. Sometimes we live the moment of celebration and then, like I said, and then it's gone. So if I can recognize it, I can be like, okay, it's happening. It's happening now. I'm entering a moment, a vibe of celebration. Pause and cherish and sustain and absorb and like, what does that feel like? The last day or the last week or the last months, I know what it feels like to work hard towards something. You have been either studying, investigating, researching, planning, going over material, trying to put things together. Oh my goodness, I remember trying to make a dress for my cousin for the prom. The pressure, right? The pressure, her prom dress. And I was like, yeah, I can make clothes, but your prom dress, are you sure? That day, like, is engraved till now. That was like, I hadn't even graduated. She was graduating before me. So I was 16 years old making my cousin's prom dress. And I didn't even get to live the celebration of it, right? It was like, I put it all together, and she's like, I don't even have time to try it on. By the time we got it ready and made, she just stuck it in her bag, and she's like, I'm sure it's going to be perfect. And she left. And that was it. That was it. I was like, what, you know, like one moment of like, oh, yay. She was just like, thank you, gotta go. Oh my goodness. But all day I was crafting, making sure we would put it on, test it, measure it, look at the model she wanted, what we had to add, what we had, another part of a dress that looked like what she wanted. We'd measure it up with what we had designed. And she kind of just watched me do it all, because I know how to work with fabric, but I didn't know exactly how to concoct, like, is this going to last through a dance? You know, like, are my stitches made well enough? I don't know. The point is, my celebration was short-lived or almost nothing. And that happens a lot. And I think that's a low frequency vibe for a lot of people. If you're at home, a home, take care of kids and stuff like that, and you feel like they ran off with the dress, right? You didn't even get to see the fruits or the benefits of everything you worked on. It's like I craft my daughter's little lunchbox for school, but I never get the joy of watching her open it and savor it and unpack it and see all the goodies in there. I'm just like, I suppose it was good. What I do know is that she's like, when I'm like, okay, school lunch today, and she's like, no, mommy, send me, what can we make? She'll open the fridge, she'll be like, what can we do? And I was like, that's a good sign. She enjoys the lunches. She wants home lunches. So that's one, recognizing it. And then second is, what things can you notice that happen around the celebration moment that you can add in? A lot of times we're like, no big deal, you know, I don't want to make a big deal of it. I'm not even going to go to the ceremony. And at this age, we don't even celebrate our birthday, right? You know, I'm like, the vibe, right? Worse, like for kids, if you're someone who doesn't like to celebrate things, I'll just give you this side tip. For those around you, especially if there's children involved, they do enjoy celebrating and they do want to celebrate you. Sometimes the celebration is not really about you, but they want to celebrate you because you're someone meaningful to them. If you're struggling with your own meaningfulness in your own life, that might be one of the causes, but it also can be that some people are not too interested in those events. I think my father learned later in life that these things of commemoration and celebration were important. So bring around the friends, do something, allow for there to be some flowers. Does there need to be a candle? Do we need to call certain people and invite them? Because this sustains and upholds and it spreads. People need more time of celebration. People need more time of gathering in a positive energy of uplifting together. And that's beautiful, and you can let go of being the center of that. You just hold the space for it. So that's the second way, just allowing it to spread. And whatever people want to bring in, instead of minimizing and saying, no, I don't want you to fuss about it. It's probably not a fuss. They're like, what more can we do? Let's do something to commemorate that. My mother's pretty good at that. And she's like, it's like, let's go get a thing or buy a thing, or the famous cards that no one writes anymore, but she will go get a card. She'll think of the card. The third aspect for me would be bring it into the body. So a lot of times we're celebrating a high vibe in our head. The body is feeling it. It's living the reality. But then that's why, where does the culmination of celebration end? Normally in the dance. So you are moved to such an extent of high engagement and prosperity and flourishing in this moment that the body just lifts up and it just wants to move, right? It just feels so good that there's like this, even if you're in your chair, you're just like, yum, yum, right? So good. Someone will come and grab your hand and you're like, I'm off, bye. And this is just flowing with the body in celebration helps sustain it also. And you can just, what will the memory be? Probably the moment on the dance floor. The body will remember this versus some sustained or engaged conversation that you had about someone's life. That's also a memory, but this one the body gets to participate in. And it also can be manifested in liberating walks or gestures, any of the power stanzas that you learn. There's like the Wonder Woman one. I like the V one where it's up like just this opening and I'm receiving, but at the same time I'm like giving out. So any of those physical ways. And then commemorate it, right? Commit it to memory. Sometimes it'll be something insignificant, but you can pick something like Hello Kitty is my favorite. I just saw her there and I'm like, I'm going to set this here and remind me of that day or that moment or incident or the cute thing my daughter said to me. And I'm going to put that there. Every time I look at it now, I will think of that moment that we had or that we celebrated or that. So you can just put a little bit of intention in a physical object and it has already changed the energy of your room. And at every time that you look at it, your energy will be there too. So those 3 little ways of keeping the vibe high when something happens. Take momentum from that, take off from that, enjoy that, and stay empowered.